Hi, I'm Chef Lisa Brisch of Orange Pomegranate, and today I'm at Newark Natural Foods Farmers Market. We are making turnip potato leek chowder. So we're going to start off with our turnips. What I have is 3 medium turnips, and I'm going to peel them. I'm going to take off the root ends and stem ends, and I'm going to get them nice and browned in some butter. Alright, so I find it easier to go ahead and take the ends off first before peeling, but you do what you like. And then once I do that, I'm going to cut these into a 1/2 inch dice. And these turnips came with their greens on it, and this recipe calls for the greens at the very end. So to cut these into a 1/2 inch dice, I like to cut these into planks about 1/2 inches wide. And then I take the rounded ends and set them aside, stack these planks, and then cut them 1/2 inch. And then stack these again and turn them, and then 1/2 inch dice. And then take the ends, and they get done individually. Alright, so while I'm cutting those, I'm going to go ahead and heat my butter in this pan. 2½ tablespoons of unsalted butter. Alright. And you want them, they don't have to be precise, but they should be all in a similar size so that they cook evenly. Alright, so the butter is hot, and we're going to put these in here. And then give a couple of pinches of salt. We're going to let those go until they're browned. So next I'm going to prepare the leeks. Now leeks may look clean on the outside, but they can be very gritty in between the layers. So what you have to do is cut them up first and then wash them. And for leeks, for cooking, you only want to use the white and light green parts. So you can see how in between here there's lots of grit. So you need to wash these in a bowl of cold water. So let me just give these a rough chop. I probably made this too wide, but that's okay. Alright, so to clean these, I got a bowl of cold water. It doesn't have to be cold, but you don't want hot water. And then you just swish it around, and the dirt will sink to the bottom. I just take them like this, out of the water. Now as I'm prepping these potatoes, I don't want them to turn brown, so I just covered them in water.
I've never had that. That's interesting. I like that.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to add these. So I just added the leeks to the turnips. You can see that the turnips are browned. And I'm going to let the leeks soften. Okay, so leeks and turnips are in. I'm going to give it a little bit more salt for the leeks. Potatoes are peeled. Now I'm just going to cut them into 1/2 inch dice. And these are kind of small, so I think I'm just going to cut them in half, and half, and then in half. So that would be 1/8. Maybe a little bit smaller. So 12s. All right, so now I'm going to add my potatoes to the pot.
Oh yeah. Potatoes aren't cooked.
Right.
It's going to take.
It's going to take about 20 minutes because they're small pieces. And now 5 cups of water. That's 2. Okay, so that's 5. And then a couple of sprigs of fresh thyme. And a teaspoon of kosher salt. And turn this up because I want it to boil. 3 tablespoons of dry sherry, and this is optional, it just gives it more flavor. Yes, this is the chowder. And then that just cooks until everything is tender. I'm going to put a lid on it for now to bring it to a simmer, but once it comes to a simmer, I'm going to take the lid off. All right, so while the chowder is cooking, I'm going to prep some of the remaining ingredients, and one of them is the greens from the turnips. Another thing I'm going to do, I'll just put these in the same bowl, is chop up some thyme. And you just pull those away from the stem in the opposite way that the leaf is growing. So, and then peel the top off. And this will be for the garnish at the end. Okay, and then for the thyme, you just put them in a pile and go over it with your knife. So I'm just going to set that aside. Oops. And then this gets topped with cheese. This is Emmental, which is a type of Swiss cheese. And you could also do this in the food processor. And that's all the prep that I need to do while the soup is cooking. All right, so these potatoes are tender. And what we're gonna do is, give them a mash. So I'm also gonna pull out the thyme. Okay. So I'm just gonna mash this coarsely. Leave a couple of chunks in here for texture. And then I'm gonna add the turnip greens. Okay, and in it goes. Stir them in. I'm gonna add some freshly ground black pepper. And I tasted it, and it needs just a little bit more salt. And then I'm going to turn off the heat. Finish with some sherry vinegar, 2 teaspoons, and the chopped fresh thyme. And then to serve it, we'll top it with cheese. That's it. Enjoy.